All right, welcome everybody. I'm really excited for this call. We are setting up the restream right now, and that I think is cooking. Yep, we've got the restream going. And let's see here. We're gonna start letting people in from the waiting room. Holy cow, there's already 100 people in here. That is awesome. We're gonna have a really great call tonight. What's up, Dr. Bobby? Nice to see you. Dr. Bobby is here. We actually have a lot of medical professionals that are on this call tonight. We'll greet them uh, more and more as we go. What's up, Carrie Marshall? You know, if you're just tuning in, you haven't missed anything yet. We're about 3 or 4 minutes from kickoff. I would love to know where you are in the United States or out of the States. That would be great to hear. What's up, Paul? Paul Thorup. Mary is in Washington State. We got Charlotte. Charlotte, you've got a Canadian flag. I'm guessing you're in Canada. Let's see here. What's up, Jim? Jim Ciccarelli and Jason Knight in Saskatchewan, Canada. Benita, hi Benita in Arizona. Paul in Salt Lake City, Utah. Andrea Martin in South Carolina. Dr. Martin, Dr. Bobby in Texas. Lucretia Brown in New Mexico. Kathy Gregerson in Spotsylvania, Virginia. Holy cow, these are coming in faster than I can keep up. This is going to be awesome. We're so glad that you're all here. And we're going to get started in about 2 minutes. I'm going to check my audio here. And somehow I'm going to mute everybody. So let's just try this. All right, muting everybody, just so we don't have any background feedback. Muting everybody. We're all muted now. Montana. Hey, Mark Workman. Indiana, Ohio, Maryland, Boston, Alabama, Central Illinois, New Lothrop, Michigan, Jersey Shore, Edmonton, Canada, Connecticut, Wesley Chapel, Florida, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Michigan, Alabama, Houston, Pina from Burlington, Ontario, Canada. This is so cool. All right, we've got a bunch of Canadians here today. Talk in Tokyo, Japan. How about that? Tokyo, Japan, Quebec. Oh, this is really cool. Dr. Catherine Lafoto. Hey, doctor, in Johannesburg, South Africa. How about that? This is so cool. So, if you're just tuning in, we have a very special call tonight, and we've got a lot of medical professionals tuning in from all over the world, from South Africa, from Canada, from here in the US. We'll probably have some medical professionals on from Mexico and maybe even some from Europe, even though it's very late over there right now. What's up, Gwen Grant in Calgary, Alberta? We're going to get started in about 30 seconds. About 30 seconds. Let me get my props ready here and we will get started in about 30 seconds. So, you haven't missed anything yet. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the translation. We have a lot of people listening in a different language. If you care to listen in a different language, you can turn on your captions and set your captions to display in whatever language you'd like, whether that's Japanese or Spanish or otherwise. French, a lot of French speakers tuning in. Okay, we're going to get started. Let's go ahead and let me just push the record button. Welcome, everybody, to tonight's call. We're so glad that you're here. I've been looking forward to this call for several days now, and I'm a little nervous, actually. I'm a little nervous. I can feel my heart beating for this call. There are 280 people here on the live Zoom and thousands more that are listening through the restreams on Facebook, on TikTok, on YouTube, and other places. So if you're here and you've never been on one of these calls before, you are in for a treat. If you're here and you've been on these calls before, welcome back. These calls we do every single week. If you or somebody that you love and care about is struggling with their metabolic health, okay, and the severity is across the board, they could be severely struggling. This would be a great call for them. They might not be struggling at all. I mean, many people on this call are very healthy people who are here because they believe in prevention and they believe in longevity and they want to live long, healthy, wonderful, quality lives. And if that is you, we're glad that you're here all across the board, throughout the spectrum of health. everybody. And thank you to all the medical professionals. I saw Yvette Oxford just got on, a nurse and diabetes educator in Huntsville, Alabama. Lots of medical professionals. In fact, as we get started here, if you are a medical professional, if you're a doctor, a nurse, if you're a dietitian or a nutritionist, anybody that works in the metabolic health space, would you just put medical in the chat? I would love to see all the medical professionals that are here tonight. Incredible. Look at that. We want to give you guys a huge salute and thank you for all your work and service and all. Wow, this is incredible. And we want to thank you for being so supportive of what we're doing here. So, because there are a lot of new people here that maybe are brand new to this protocol, have no idea what this is all about, I thought I would just take a moment and set the table for what this is all about. And then we've got a lot of guests that I want to get to. Let's go ahead and just share my screen. So, if you have been following the news, if you have been doing your research and staying up on the latest and greatest science, you have been hearing a lot about a topic or a condition known as insulin resistance. About 9 out of 10 people have some degree of this problem. And if you've never heard of insulin resistance, that's okay. Perhaps you've heard of some of the problems that are driven by insulin resistance, right? Problems like obesity, problems like diabetes, PCOS for women, neuropathy, high blood sugar, belly fat, cravings, heart disease, fatty liver, right? Maybe you have gut health problems like irritable bowel syndrome or leaky gut. Maybe you have high cholesterol or high blood pressure, right? Just about every single American adult is having to think about one or more of these problems on a daily basis. All right. Now, there are lots of approaches, lots and lots of approaches to solving these problems. Some of them are medications like pharmaceuticals. In fact, let's look at some of this. I'll walk you through this a little bit. Um, this will be a perfect way to set up the call, and I'm going to clear my screen here. Sorry. So a lot of people are familiar with pharmaceutical drugs for handling these problems. Okay. There are lots of pharmaceuticals. Maybe, if you're on any kind of a drug or if you've considered any kind of a drug, you're going to find this call particularly helpful tonight. So there are lots of pharmaceuticals for these problems. Now, I want to be clear that none of these drugs are curing the problem or solving the problem. These drugs are for symptom management, right? So, for example, people will take statin medications because statin drugs will lower LDL cholesterol very reliably. Metformin is a drug that will reliably lower blood sugar by 20 to 30%, right? It will lower blood sugar. Lisinopril is a medication for lowering blood pressure. All right. Now, these are widespread medications. We have about 47 million Americans on statins, 30 million or more on metformin, probably 60 million or more on lisinopril. And now Ozempic is the craze, or these GLP-1 agonists are the craze for lowering food noise. All right. Now, these pharmaceuticals definitely work at treating these symptoms, but they have a problem. And the problem is that there are trade-offs to using them. There are some side effects or trade-offs, right? Now, perhaps you are not a pharmaceutical person. Maybe you like the idea of doing this naturally. And so perhaps you've studied different natural remedies. And while there are certainly natural remedies to a lot of these problems, right? In fact, there's mountains of clinical data showing that many things will lower LDL cholesterol. Many things will lower blood sugar, right? Many things will lower food noise naturally. These natural remedies also have a problem, okay? The first problem is that they are not standardized, meaning it's hard to know how much to take. There's not proper dosing, right? Another problem is that the medical professionals are often not trained. They're very trained on the pharmaceuticals, not as trained when it comes to the natural remedies. And so, if you go see your doctor about high cholesterol, the doctor would give a very responsible answer, which might sound like this. Hey, I'm I understand that you're excited about these natural remedies, but I don't really know how much to prescribe or recommend. And I would feel more comfortable based on your high cholesterol, let's say, if you would just stick with the guidelines and do what I know will work, right? And so these natural remedies also have a problem, right? But now there is something new that is just so exciting. All right. So we talked about the natural remedies. Now there is something new called a nutraceutical. And these nutraceuticals, what they're doing is they're combining a bunch of the natural remedies, these natural solutions, into a standardized efficacious or very effective dose. And it is clinically proven, clinically effective. But the challenge is nobody really knows about these yet. And so the reason why we do these calls is we want to spread awareness about the options. And on tonight's call, we're going to be talking about a couple of these nutraceuticals that I believe are going to change healthcare. Now, we have some very special guests, and over 500 people just here on the live Zoom alone. They're going to be talking about this. We have some medical professionals who have gotten really excited about these nutraceuticals, and they're going to tell us why that is and why they're excited about these solutions as alternatives to perhaps pharmaceuticals or these natural remedies. Now, I'm jumping around all over the place here, but I guess what I want you to know as we get into this, maybe I'll set the table. I would like to explain what these nutraceuticals are and what exactly how we're using them. And then I'm going to bring in multiple medical professionals to just talk about what they're seeing, why they're excited about it. And if we have some time, we're going to have an open Q&A where you and the audience can ask questions or perhaps share some of your experiences and benefits. Before we do any of that, I want to bring in, we have a little tradition where we kick off each of these calls with a spotlight of somebody that has been following this protocol who maybe a few months, or in this case, a couple of years ago, was a stranger to us. I mean, Tim and I actually are total strangers. I think we had our first conversation ever just
Yep.
earlier this afternoon as we were preparing for tonight's call, right? So Tim is somebody that has been following this protocol that you're going to hear about. He's been using these nutraceuticals. And Tim, maybe just to kick it off, who is Tim Johnson and where was Tim Johnson at with his health prior to starting this protocol?
All right. Well, I've struggled with my weight my whole life, pretty much. Whenever I was a teen, I was good and everything though, but got married, and you know how married life is. Sometimes you get to doing a lot of eating, and plus, as far as my occupation, I work in the oil and gas industry. I've been doing it for 30 years. And if anybody's familiar with oil and gas working offshore, then you understand how food is out there. Food is plentiful. Just imagine walking in your local convenience store and everything being free. That's the way it was for me. But yeah, my whole life I struggled losing weight. I'd gain a lot, and I'd work hard. I'd lose it back, gain it again, lose it back. It was like a hamster wheel being on it. But
So
go
Tim,
ahead.
I'm gonna pull up a picture real fast of you prior to starting this protocol, if that's okay. So
Sure.
I'm gonna interrupt you just for a second, and I want people to see this. Now, there's a few pictures we're going to show that I want people to see, but let's start right here. So this is Tim Johnson on the left, and the new Tim Johnson here on the right. Um, Tell us where were you at when you were over here on the left? Where were you at with your blood work, your kind of your mental state? Where were things at on the left side of this picture here?
I can remember like it was yesterday when that picture was taken. I was out of town, and whenever I came home, my feet was hurting, and took my shoes off, and my feet were swelled really bad. And I was probably in the neighborhood somewhere around 280, 290, somewhere along in there. I didn't keep up with my weight back then. The only way I knew what I weighed was whenever I check in at the heliport. And And that was along one of the cycles where I decided I needed to lose weight. I went and seen my physician, and he was trying to put me on meds, but I didn't want to do it. And but like I said, I would move forward, I would lose, and but finally, I got to a point where I had lost down, and it was like I'd hit a wall. And plus, my blood work still wasn't great then, even after I'd lost some. And got to seeing some of the vets videos, and it kind of started sinking in with me a little bit. I thought I was doing everything right, but I wasn't. The food I was eating, I was still loading up on rice and carbohydrates. I was doing some intermittent fasting, but I wasn't putting the right nutrition in me. And end up I got on Feel Great. I said I'm going to do it. And once I got started, it was like things changed for me. And I kept track of it. In March of 04, I'd had my blood work done. And then I went again in June of 24. And just after 3 months, my triglycerides had dropped from an 82 to a 45. My HDL went up from a 40 to a 62. And then after a year, my testosterone levels, they doubled. They went from 293 to 637.
Is awesome. And so you've been on it now. I mean, you mentioned that you yo-yoed your entire life with
Yeah.
weight, lost hundreds of pounds, regained hundreds of pounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how long have you now maintained this since being on this protocol?
Uh, just right at 2 years.
2 years.
Because once I got on it and started having the right mindset and working the system like it needs to be worked and should be worked, I've been maintaining. I may fluctuate 3 or 4 pounds over that's normal.
Okay, so I want to just cap this off. You've got a hobby,
Yes, I
and
love skateboarding.
okay, so what's that hobby?
I love the skateboard. I used
Okay,
to
and tell me about your buddy.
All right. Yeah, I got a buddy named Pete. Me and him, best friends since fourth grade. And in our teen years, we used to do a lot of skating. And then married life hit us both, got out of it. And he ended up, after I started skating again, I was like, I need my skating buddy back. And so ended up, I bought him another board, told him, I said, man, this is what you got to do. And already done all the leg work, showed him the plan, showed him how to do it. And he's done reversed his tap too. He's no longer on meds.
Okay, I got to show you guys this picture. So Tim's a skateboarder, and is it Pete is your buddy?
Yeah,
So Tim and Pete are skating buddies back since the fourth grade. Tim told Pete, "Hey, we're going to start skating again." And Pete was probably thinking, "Yeah, right. There's no way I can get on a skateboard now, right?"
exactly.
But Tim told them about this protocol. So here's Tim before, and here is Pete's before and after. And you said he's reversed his type 2 diabetes on this protocol. And this is you guys. Looks like you're out at a skate park or something.
Yeah, we had just got finished skating and made it back to town and getting in our own vehicles.
Well, brother, we love this. And thank you for coming on the call. It is so cool to hear these stories. And it makes it so real, brother, to hear about how it affects your daily life and that you're able to start skating again. So,
Yes,
congrats, man. I mean, congrats on losing 100 pounds and
yes.
fixing your blood work and then on helping Pete do the same. So, great job, Tim. And thanks so much for coming on our
All
call.
right, I appreciated being here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you're the man, and thank you, Tim. I mean, this is so cool. And Tim's again a stranger to me, but I heard about this through diabetes educator and nurse Yvette Oxford, and the rest is history. Well, if you're new to this call, and I imagine that many of you are new, perhaps you have not started the protocol, perhaps you don't know what the protocol is. I'm just going to take a moment to explain the protocol, and then we're going to get to really the sizzle part of this call, which is the stories and these medical professionals. Okay. So there are two things that we are doing on this protocol. They are not drugs. Again, these are nutraceuticals. The yellow one is something that we use whenever we are not eating. So whenever I'm not eating, let's say I'm fasting or I'm taking a break from food between meals, like between lunch and dinner, I will sip on the yellow one. In fact, I've got mine right here, and I'll sip on it, and it completely kills all the food noise. Now, when it's time to eat, I will have the orange one. These both are now in the physician's desk reference. We'll talk about this in a moment, but just these two alone have completely changed my life. And I want to tell you why these are going to change the world. And you're going to hear from some doctors and from a bunch of people here in just a moment. But to make it real simple, and just for the benefit, I know some of you are already savvy to this, but there are lots of people who have not started this protocol. Let's explain exactly what this is. So, this is something that has been studied now with more than 20 clinical studies on it. It was originally developed by the Rexall company. If you remember the old Rexall drugstores, it's been studied at the Cleveland Clinic, at BYU, at Stanford. This is going to be disruptive. This is something that is both safe and natural. And it works so well that the manufacturer actually guarantees it for anybody that uses it. If you use it properly and are consistent, it will work for you. And you can try it for 90 days. And if you're not totally satisfied, you can just get a refund. Now, the protocol has two parts, the yellow part and the orange part, right? And this does come in different flavors. I'm just using this to keep it simple. The yellow one is something I sip whenever I'm not eating. It is a concentrated extract of the yerba mate plant. The orange one is a blend of plant fiber that often works as well as a statin or better than a statin for cholesterol control, as well or better than metformin for blood sugar and insulin control, and there are no drugs in it. We're going to talk more about this as we go here, but these two simple solutions, the yellow and the orange, are honestly changing thousands of lives all over the planet. And you're going to see this tonight. And if your doctor's not familiar with it, it's just a matter of time, I think, before everybody is talking about this. This is also something that people pay about $235 a month for when they order it through Amazon or through the manufacturer's website. But because you're on this call, we have a discount link, and anybody that wants to order it can get it for a discounted price now and forever. You will never ever pay the full price that other people pay on Amazon or through the manufacturer. You will have lifetime discount pricing. Now, I want to get into a lot of the science behind this and why it works so well. But before I do that, I really want to hear from some medical professionals. We have lots of them on tonight's call. Most of you are not speaking and are here in support, but we have 4 doctors that are here to speak. And in a moment, I also want to hear from the audience about what this has done for you. We'll talk about how to take it. We'll talk about what to do in all different cases and scenarios, as much as we can cover, at least without compromising time. But I want to start out. There is a very special doctor who you may have heard of. Her name is Dr. Tiffany Marie, and Tiffany is a board certified medical doctor, a family practitioner. Is that right? Sorry,
Family
I'm saying this
practice
wrong. Family practice.
and
Yes, thank
lifestyle
you.
medicine. So board certified. Yeah.
Okay, double board certified. Amazing. So Dr. Tiffany Marie, and Dr. Tiffany, are you from Alabama, or is that just where you live now?
That is just where I live.
Okay, so she's in Alabama, and she has now turned hundreds of people onto this protocol. Dr. Tiffany, would you just maybe share with us why you're so passionate about this as a medical doctor?
Yes. So I'm originally from California, but after being here for 20 years, I'm still not ready to say I'm from Alabama. So look, I did family practice medicine for 20 years. I came here really pretty much for residency, and I did urgent care, private practice, telemedicine, and I was doing it across 48 states. And I got to see just how sick we are. And it became disheartening. I got into medicine like a lot of these people that are going to be on this call because I wanted to see people's lives change. I wanted to make an impact. I had a picture of me with a cake. This was how my life was going to be, and it did not happen that way. Instead, I was handing out medications and I kept handing them out. It became this algorithm. Your sugar's here, it's the medicine. Your blood pressure's here, this is the medication. And I wasn't fulfilled, neither were my patients. I had to take a good hard look at myself and say, okay, look, this wasn't what I signed up for. So what can I do? And so I had a colleague who was board certified in lifestyle medicine. That's why I said that, Trent. And I actually went back and started studying, doing the testing. Yeah, I went back to school because I want to actually tackle things at the root. And that's what lifestyle medicine is about, is going after the causes of conditions. And once I did that, I started getting on social media because who doesn't want to get on social media and spell some of the misinformation sitting out there? I mean, like me and like so many people. Got connected with a wonderful woman who's become one of my good friends, engineer no less, who told me about these products. And I was thinking, how you gonna tell me something? I got a full MD. Okay, I'm double board certified. How you gonna tell me something about my stuff? But she did. And I had to learn a lot. And I had to do some studying. And I vetted these products. Then I used them for myself. I was able to get off of my blood pressure medicine. I was able to get off my antidepressant. I was able to start feeling better. I stopped having hot flashes. Then I had a home family. I was able to see my brother at his time in ICU, be able to get his sugars to come down to where I could take off his insulin, his Trulicity, his metformin, and then so many other people I didn't even know on social media. And so now I'm having a bigger impact than ever did practicing for 20 years. Yeah, 20 years. I'm seeing more people get off of medications than I ever did. So yes, when Trent said, do you want to get on this call? Yes, I'm always ready. I'm always ready to tell my story because this is real life and I have so much fun doing it. Thanks, Trent.
Well, I love you for that. I mean, guys, a double board certified doctor, I don't know what her hourly rate is, but it's not cheap, right? And for her to come on and, I did not pay her for this. This was her being a great human being who really cares about, helping people. What you just said, Dr. Tiffany, that you've seen more people coming off of medications and healing doing, talking about this nutraceutical, this protocol, then in 20 years is just, I mean, we could end the call right there. I love that. Thank you for that, Dr. Tiffany. And thank you. If you wouldn't mind hanging out in case we have some time for Q&A, if anybody wants to ask Dr. Tiffany a question, we'd love to have you here. Thank you, Dr. Tiffany. Okay, I want to rotate to another medical doctor. This is another incredible friend of mine who I'm grateful to for being on this call. Dr. Erica Saucedo is a board certified ophthalmologist, an eye surgeon, and really a cataract specialist. Is that right, Dr. Erica?
Correct.
Okay, so you mentioned that you were starting to see something show up in your operating room over and over and over again that had you pretty concerned. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I was reviewing charts and it dawned on me that I was doing cataract surgery on 30-year-olds at least once or twice, if not 3 times a week. So I do about 10 surgeries a week. So that's 10 to 30% of my patients were in their 30s. And cataracts, just to let you know, is like a 70-year-old's disease. So not normal. And so that was definitely related to the diabetes, the insulin resistance. And so that, as well as I have 2 children with autoimmune diseases. And so I started looking, like Dr. Tiffany mentioned, right, the holistic route. Then I was thinking, okay, I think I'm just going to create my own product. The skies part. Somehow Trent comes into my life, if you believe in that. And he shows me this product. Like he mentioned, it's in the physician desk reference. It's a high quality product. It's vegan, it's kosher, it's halal, it's gluten-free. My daughter can't eat any gluten. And so basically almost anyone can take this medication, super safe, super clean. And I was sold. Once I looked it up, looked at all the studies that backed it, like you mentioned, Trent. And basically, I think, I'm not a salesperson. I'm sure you hear that all the time from the physicians, right? But if we could do something for me personally, where I'm preventing doing surgery 20 years early, I'm for that for sure.
I love it. Now, just a question. These eye patients that you're seeing, they have high blood sugar and it's starting younger.
Yep.
And this high blood sugar, what specifically, I'm going to minimize myself here because you look a lot better than I do on camera. Uh, what is specifically happening? These high blood sugars Why is it affecting the eyes?
You know what? I have my eye models because I just did a TikTok on this because I was on call this weekend. And like, for example, I had a gentleman, he was 41 years old. So what happens is the back part of the eye, which is the retina. So see how it has all these little blood vessels. What happens is when our, we have metabolic disease. So the blood flow isn't correct to the back of the eye. And so our body being amazing, right? Mother Nature says, okay, I'm going to make new blood vessels. But unfortunately, those new blood vessels are very fragile and they end up breaking and causing hemorrhage or bleeding in the back of the eye. And so the gentleman that I had that I was on call with, he's 41. He had already lost one eye because he had a retinal detachment because all those little blood vessels can pull on the retina. So he had already lost one eye. Then the other eye had a new bleed because those little blood vessels broke. And so he couldn't see through the blood. So he was freaking out, of course, as anyone would. And that's essentially what's happening in the eye. That's a little basic, but
I love it. I love it. And one thing I would just encourage people that are listening to this, listen, if you're noticing blurry vision and you
mhm.
don't have a good reason for that, you likely have hyperglycemia, you have high blood sugar, you have insulin resistance. And when that vision is blurry, oftentimes we don't really do anything about it until it gets to the point where we have to do something about it. And then you're in her operating room, right? And so while we often talk about this protocol in terms of what it's doing for sick people, and you guys are going to hear some stories in just a moment about what this is doing for people that have very serious levels of sickness, how it's helping them. But why wait for that? I mean, Dr. Erica, you're in great metabolic health. Dr. Tiffany's in great metabolic health. A lot of you that are listening to this call maybe are great metabolic health. Maybe you're athletes. Maybe you're um, fit as a fiddle, right? The healthier people are, I find the more they love this protocol because healthy people are people that take action now to prevent necessary action later, right? And so I love it. And if you're noticing anything with your eyes, you definitely want to listen up. That is something that is a serious, serious symptom. Thank you so much, Dr. Erica. That was absolutely awesome. I want to rotate to another doctor. This is a doctor. Oops, sorry, Dr. Erica. This is a doctor of pharmacy. And this woman has become one of my favorite people in the world. This is Dr. Amanda Yu, a doctor of pharmacy, and Amanda has had the experience of seeing patients on never-ending prescriptions. Tell us a little bit about that, Dr. Yu.
Yes, thank you so much, Trent. Yes, I've been a pharmacist for a minute, 32 years. Just 32 years. Just like many of other doctors, we went into healthcare hoping to ease suffering. But what I've seen earlier on in my career is that people were not getting better. They were getting sicker. They keep coming back with more prescriptions, more diagnoses. Of course, you're treating one symptoms, ending up with more diagnoses because some of it is due to side effects of the first medications, right? So, and then over time, that didn't sit right with me. But it wasn't until about 8 years ago that became very personal. I went through my own health struggles, dealing with leaky gut, psoriasis, joint pain, jaundice-like symptoms, hair loss. With many other of my patients, of course, gone to see specialist after specialist, and I got offered more medications. I know medications. I don't want those medications. So like Dr. Tiffany, I stepped out and I had to go learn about functional medicine, holistic medicine. That's how I started that journey. And still, I did not have all the tools with functional medicine until about 2 years ago that I was introduced to the Feel Great system that completed the puzzle for me. Because even with functional medicine training, I did not have the knowledge of how important insulin, the role of insulin is. So with this protocol, I was able to help my mother-in-law reverse type 2 diabetes, get off all medications, statins, pain medications. She was able to ditch the wheelchair. She had her toes amputated, and with this protocol, she's able to prevent a foot amputation. And she was on a statin for over 20 years. She was actually dealing with early signs of Alzheimer's dementia. Yes, that's her picture. And when she was on over a dozen medications, she was inflamed, she was in chronic pain. Like I said, she had her toes amputated, she had cancer. Now she was able to reverse type 2 diabetes in a matter of 9 months. When she was on over a dozen medications, her triglycerides, if you look at that, was never below 100. With this protocol, we got her triglyceride to be below 100. Triglyceride is the oxidized LDL. Triglyceride is what put you at risk for heart disease, for plaque formation. It's not the LDL. When she was on a statin, yes, if you go to the right a little bit more trend, is like her LDL was very low. You see at 75 at the bottom in 2022. That was the year when she was dealing with cancer and all these inflammation and pain. And her cholesterol was 155, her LDL was 75, and yet she was very sick. And today she's has her life back. She's walking every day. She doesn't have to be in the wheelchair. She's off all medications, including blood pressure, statin, metformin. So my entire family's on this protocol. My daughter has Hashimoto's, has PCOS. She's not on any medication. We're all able to manage our autoimmune conditions with this protocol and some other targeted supplements. So I'm very grateful that I was introduced to this protocol. Today I have this tool to help so many people get off medication, including colleagues who are pharmacists, reverse pre-diabetes, get off blood pressure medication, get off anti-anxiety, antidepressant medications. Yeah, I see we have some pharmacists on here as well. So thank you so much for this opportunity to share, Trent. And my mission is to help as many people get off medications and restore their health naturally. And we can do that with this protocol.
Well, I love you for saying that. Let me tell everybody why I love Amanda Yu for saying that. She just said, my goal is to get people off of medications. And
I'm a
she's
pharmacist, right?
Yeah.
How
Think about
ironic is that?
That is ironic. And that tells us a lot about who you are, right? It is ironic that a pharmacist would want people off medications. Okay. But you guys, medical professionals, almost all of them that I talk to, they believe in minimum necessary medication. I mean, sometimes medication could be the difference between life and death, right? But oftentimes, lifelong symptom management on multiple medications is not helping the problem. And if there's a way to solve the root problem once and for all, and to end the madness, most medical professionals are all for it. So I love you for that, Amanda. Stick around. We may bring you back on here in a moment. You guys, we have another doctor that I want to rotate to in just a moment. Okay. Before I do that, there are 600 people here on the live Zoom. And I'm going to do something here that's going to be, I think, really powerful. When we first started doing these calls and spreading awareness about this protocol, there were like 6 people on. And there are probably 6,000, somewhere between 6,000 and 60,000 who will see this call through the restream, through Facebook, through YouTube, etc. And this has changed the lives of so many people. If you have been on one of these calls, if you are on this protocol, okay, and you're listening and here in the Zoom, I can't unfortunately interact with all of you on Facebook and YouTube, but if you're one of the 608 people here in the live Zoom, and this has done something for you personally, now I don't want any exaggerating, crazy stories. Just if this has done something for you or somebody in your household that is measurable, tangible, real, if you would share a sentence or two in the chat, I want to read a couple of these before we bring our next guest on. When I say that this could change the game, I am not exaggerating. What if you were supposed to be on this call? Maybe for you, or maybe it's for a loved one or somebody that you know that needs to know about this. What if your attendance here could change your life and or their life forever? Let me read a few of these. Holy cow. Okay, let me scroll up because they're coming in hot. I'm going to read a few of these real fast. Jared Hoops. I've lost 80 pounds in 6 months. I reversed my prediabetes. My A1C went from a 6.0 to a 5.4. My blood work came back in range. My gout is gone. My high blood pressure's gone. My eye floaters are gone. And I've maintained this result for 15 months. Keith Newsom. I reversed my type 2 diabetes in 3 months after 25 years. I am off 15 medications per day, off 108 units of insulin per day. My neuropathy's gone. My skin tags are gone. Fatty liver gone. I'm down 103 pounds. A 4X shirt to a large. I'm down 15 inches on my waist. My A1C went from a 7.5 to a 5, and I've healed a foot ulcer that almost took my life just over a year ago. Kim Harmon, in 6 months, I lost 45 pounds, reversed prediabetes, dropped triglycerides by 60 points. I'm off my statin, acid reflux, plantar fasciitis, inflammation, all gone. Energy doubled. Just over 1 year of using the system, reversed insulin resistance, 8.5 inches off my waistline. This is Dr. Esther Nari. Esther, this is awesome. Thank you, doctor. She personally, Dr. Nari, lost 30 pounds. Better sleep, sharper focus, and memory. Gut health has improved. New hair growth along my hairline. How about that? Jim Grasser says, I've reversed my type 2 diabetes on the system. So did my mother and mother-in-law. It absolutely saved my life. Kim Pedicini, excuse me, Kim, on the pronunciation there, off of my thyroid medications, down 20 pounds in 4 months. I feel alive. Susan Alford, my eyes had inflammation and this protocol has healed my eyes and health. Heath Chapman, I've lost 41 pounds, reversed type 2 diabetes, and lowered cholesterol from 555 to 200 in 4 months. There are 64 additional comments. I won't be able to read all of these, just maybe 2 or 3 more. Mila says, 4 months in, I've reversed my insulin resistance, down 44 pounds, depression gone, sugar cravings gone, energy is high, lowered blood pressure. Brittany Held, I've reversed type 2 diabetes, reversed high cholesterol, relief from gout, no more anxiety, down 50 pounds, life-changing. Misty Zimmerman, this will have to be the last one, maybe 2 more. Down 65 pounds, off medications that I took for over 30 years. Got rid of neuropathy pain, no more fatty liver, eyesight improved, feel so much younger. Patricia Castile says, I am off my antidepressants after major depression disorder. Guys, there are 74 additional comments that I wish we had time to read. I hope that you're skimming those, all of you that are here in the chat. When I say that this could change the game forever, now you know what I mean. Now, I want to be clear about something. We're going to bring on our last guest here in just a moment, but I want to be clear about something. Some of you may try the protocol and may not have a 30-day transformation. Maybe it takes longer. Maybe it takes 60 days or 6 months, right? Are you okay with that? I mean, if it took 20 years to get sick and 6 months to get unsick, would that be okay with you, right? I have found that the results are progressive. And as you stick with it and are consistent, it's just a matter of time. And the best thing about this is that you can measure it with a blood test that you do with your doctor. Now, I want to bring in our last guest here in just a moment. But for those that are new, okay, I've got a bunch of texts here saying, can you please explain how to do it, what it is, how to order it, and all that. So I want to explain that here in just a moment. And then we'll bring in our last guest and we'll do something kind of fun here at the end and hopefully end a little early and have time for Q&A. So there is, in my opinion, a really, really good reason why nobody is talking about this. And I will share with you what I think that reason is here in just a moment. But the protocol is simple. We've got breakfast, we've got lunch, and we've got dinner, right? What most people are doing that want to accelerate fat loss is we are skipping a meal. So let's say we skip breakfast. That means we're eating 1-2 meals per day, right? This is what people do that want to maximize and accelerate the fat loss. Well, the Unimate we sip in place of breakfast. This keeps our insulin level low, allows our body to be burning body fat for fuel. Now, don't worry, you're still getting calories. You're not getting calories from food. You'll be getting those calories from fat. You're literally eating your love handles for calories, right? You're burning your own body fat while we sip that mate. Oftentimes, people will have another mate, perhaps before lunch or after lunch. Maybe if you're an afternoon snacker, you could take the Unimate instead of that afternoon snack. Now, a regular lunch, a regular dinner, and we'll do a packet of fiber before our largest meal. I actually like to do a packet of fiber before both meals. So you can do 1 packet of fiber a day or 2 packets of fiber per day. If you're really concerned about blood sugar, cholesterol, and if A1C, prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, etc., are your main goals, consider maybe doing 2 packets of balance per day. Now, the beauty of this protocol is that it really pays for itself. It is cost neutral. In fact, I am cash positive on this. How is that possible? Well, most people spend about $5 to $10 on a meal, even a cheap meal from McDonald's or Starbucks or something like that, right? So if the average person spends $5 to $10 per meal, well, when we skip a meal, we're going to save $5 to $10. Skip a snack, we might save another $1 to $2, right? The Unimate is going to replace that. So if I can save $5 to $10 a day while living the protocol, I'm going to save more than the cost of the protocol. The discounted price that you will get, which is normally sold for on Amazon, 235 plus on Amazon, because you're attending this call, whoever invited you can give you a discount link. You will never ever pay the price that everybody else pays on Amazon. You will have lifetime preferred pricing. And the best part is, if you want to refer somebody to come to a call like this, they will have lifetime discount pricing. It's a share the health protocol, right? You can just share the health. Now, if you're skeptical, which it is always smart to be skeptical regarding things with the kind of comments you're seeing in the chat right now, I think it's responsible to be a little skeptical. So if you're a little skeptical, don't worry. Despite all these medical professionals, your doctor can look it up in the PDR, and your doctor will say something like, well, that sounds really good. I've never heard of this, but yeah, try it. Let me know how it goes. 90 days later, picture this, 90 days later, you're meeting with your doctor, and now your doctor's looking at your blood work and saying something along the lines of, what was that stuff you told me about again? I want to know everything you can tell me about that. In fact, give me everything you can give me on that stuff, because based on your before and after blood work, I need to know more. The #1 heart hospital in the world said that this product, if taken regularly, could reduce cardiovascular risk on a population basis, and that this would potentially decrease the need and/or dose for lipid-lowering prescription drugs. If you want to know why Trent personally believes nobody is talking about this yet, it's because of these 3 words right here. Potentially decrease prescription drugs. 4 words, I guess. The way the world works is money talks. And if there is a way to help somebody naturally without medication using these nutraceuticals change their life forever, that could be bad for business. Now, if the pharmaceutical companies owned the patent on this, well, then everybody would be talking about it. But since the owner of the patents is a cattle rancher in Wyoming, nobody knows about it. There is study after study that we can throw at you about why this works so well for boosting GLP-1 naturally, about why it's so effective for lowering blood sugar and insulin. But you don't have to take my word for it, because look at that chat. I mean, listen to those stories. Over 100 other stories in the comments here. And I want to bring in one last medical professional who has been just an absolute godsend. When we wanted to get this protocol in front of medical professionals. This was one of the very first guys that said, I understand the science. It makes sense. I'm all about it. Dr. Eric Aiken. So, Dr. Aiken, if you would just take a minute or two, or a few minutes, as all the time you need, in fact, why is Dr. Eric Aiken excited about this protocol?
Absolutely. And before I get started, one thing I really like to see is that there are 600 people in this meeting tonight, but I even like more all the growing number of success stories that we're seeing put in those comments over the last couple of years. And so um, you mentioned skepticism, and I was someone who was very skeptical, and most doctors are. We function by evidence-based medicine. And so I wanted to see some proof, some results. And I was open-minded enough to try this product on, just to see what would happen, but I had a very profound response to it. And so at that point, I started recommending it to people to see, generate some of my own evidence. And being involved with this the last few years, and most of us who've been through medical school and residency have participated probably in some type of research. It's usually a part of your residency. And being involved with this and watching what's happening to people on this product is very much like watching a live clinical trial. And I'm watching things happen to people that I haven't seen before. And what's saddened me a little bit about being involved with this for a few years now is that I realize that I am part of medical care. That means we're administering medicine to help somebody in a bad situation. But what I've been doing and what Dr. Saucedo has been doing and Dr. Tiffany and everybody else is health care once we got involved with this. There's a difference between medical care and health care. And what we've been doing is medical care in our clinical practice, but what we're doing now is health care. I was just talking to a neurosurgeon he was one of my mentors in training. So he was a teaching physician, but he was also, this is a particular gentleman, has been asked to be the chairman of the Department of Neurosurgery of about 5 different departments of neurosurgery as the head honcho. And he just today told me that I am probably saving more people's lives with this product than we ever did as neurosurgeons. And in fact, I'm about to get on the phone with him immediately after this meeting. But yeah, I realized, when I was patting myself on the back doing a craniotomy and suctioning some blood clot out of somebody's head that's had high blood pressure for years, thinking I'm doing something great, when actually all of that could have been headed off at the pass years ago had this person discovered this product. And so, and now that I've had enough time with it to watch people's response to it, I know that if someone alleges that they bought this and that they are using it, the way that I know that they are not using it is if they tell me nothing's happened. Because I have yet to see someone who, if they take it consistently, doesn't see something good happen. Their blood pressure goes down, their weight goes down, their diabetes gets better, or their fasting insulin goes down. And I just want to show you, I mentioned I like proof. This is the last little bit here. I'm going to share my screen. We like proof, and I don't know if I can share it or not.
Do I need to give you permission? 1 second. Forgive
right.
me. I think you should be able to do it.
Okay. All right, hang on. Let me try. One last time here. Boom. Okay, here we are. This. One last bit. If it'll do it. Is it doing it? You got it?
It's loading. It says has started screen sharing, so I think we're loading.
Well, I'm just going to read it just for the sake of time and may come on in a second. But what is on this screen is 2 things. It's a list of all of the things we can actually measure that are the result of using this product, the things that get better. So There's labs like fasting insulin or a hemoglobin A1C or your triglycerides or your HDL, the so-called good cholesterol, or the LDL, the so-called bad cholesterol, and NT-proBNP and CRP. These are all labs that you can check and watch these numbers improve when someone goes on it. And then there's the physical metrics, which is things like your weight, your blood pressure, your resting heart rate, body fat percentage, exercise tolerance tests, peripheral edema, which isn't really a test, but it's obvious on casual observation if somebody's swelling in their legs from heart failure is getting better. These are all physical findings that we can measure that, that this is hardcore evidence of what this product helps with. So that's why I like the product. It's extremely effective, and I can actually measure the results of what's happening to you. So.
Well, thank you, Dr. Eric. And this is a goosebump moment for Trent because of people like you and all these doctors and medical professionals, and many of you that are here tonight on the call but not speaking on the call. Thank you for being here too. I want to bring the doctors back here in a moment so that they can take a bow and we can give them some love for being about this. I mean, think about it for a second. How many medical professionals do you know that are spending their spare time helping people avoid the doctor's office? Doesn't that seem counterintuitive? You know what it takes? It takes really, really great people to have that type of mindset, right? And there's a couple questions in the chat that I want to get to, but I want to just ask I want to plead with you. If you are struggling with your metabolic health, if you're worried, if you're scared, if you're concerned, if you're frustrated, if you're stuck, if you're depressed, if you've lost hope and don't know what to do next, this is what to do next. What if this could do for you what it has done for all the people here in the chat? Hundreds of people in the chat saying what it's done for them. What if this could solve the belly fat or the obesity? What if this could fix the fatty liver? What if this could solve the blood sugar problems or the heart disease or the migraines or the Alzheimer's or the PCOS? What if you could, just by fixing this, fix everything else? What else would happen to you in your life if you got control of your health? How would it affect your work performance? How would it affect your love life? How would it affect your self-confidence? How would it affect the way that you feel day to day? How would it affect the way you feel in the morning when you're trying to get out of bed? How would it affect the pain of the neuropathy in the feet, etc., right? And why not try something that is natural, safe, clinically proven, and guaranteed to work? The only way it doesn't work is if you don't use it. Because if you don't use it, then nothing changes, right? If for any reason you get on it, you try it for a few months and you decide it's not your cup of tea, just get a refund. Just get a refund. Nothing to lose, right? This has changed my life. And do you know what? I wish I knew about this before my dad got sick and died. If he would have known about this protocol, he would be alive today and he would know my kids. Maybe you have a dad or a brother or a loved one. Why not try something different? Why not? Right? Now, there are some questions that I want to address real fast. But before we address a couple of these questions in the chat, I want to bring back, just for a little bow here, Dr. Amanda, Dr. Tiffany, Dr. Eric, and Dr. Erica. And these four wonderful medical professionals, thank you so much for giving us your valuable time and just sharing your 2 cents about this protocol. It's a huge favor to me and to all of us, and we love you and just want to salute you and thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you guys wouldn't mind putting your handles in the chat, I would love for people to know if they wanted to reach out or follow you or support you or book an appointment with you, how they could do that. That would be great. Please put that in the chat. Now, if you guys choose to chime in on any of these questions, we have a couple of questions here. You're welcome to do that. But guys, these are not your medical doctors. They're not going to give medical advice. We don't give medical advice on these calls. Medical advice comes from a one-on-one, consultation, right? One person asked, how long do I need to use it for? Very easy to answer this one. Some people are on it for life. They love it. They never want to go off it. Some people use it intermittently as needed. And some people use it to get where they want to be, and then they try to maintain with a healthy diet and lifestyle. All of those are desirable outcomes. Our goal is to help you feel great. That's our goal. And you can use it for as long or as short as you'd like to. There's no medication in it, right? Now, be careful with that mindset, because as soon as you start to say, how long do I have to? How long do I have to brush my teeth? How long do I have to exercise? How long do I have to eat right? How long do I have to, fill in the blank, right? Some of this is lifestyle, and it's good to have a long-term lifestyle outlook. So be mindful of that. Okay, another question is, doctors, maybe if one of you wants to take this, if somebody's on medications right now and is like, hoorah, let's do this, I want to do this. What do you recommend? Is this, if they're on medications right now, should they dive in head first and throw caution to the wind, or is it a good thing to have a conversation with the nurse or a doctor?
This is food. This is food. If you're on medications, you can still take this. You can take this, but do talk with your providers in terms of helping you to wean off medications. You do not stop medications, but you can take these protocol. This is just food.
Okay, so that actually was not the answer I was expecting, but I love that answer, because what Dr. Amanda is basically saying here is, if you can have fiber, like if you can have a garden salad without talking to your medical professional, you're probably okay to have this fiber. And if you can have, a cup of coffee or a cup of yerba mate without talking to your doctor, you're probably okay on both of these. Now, if you have serious questions or concerns, we always say, consult with your doctor, right? But this is just food. There are no drugs in it. Thank you, Dr. Amanda. Okay, maybe one or two other questions. Let's see here. A lot of them are about the recordings. You guys are getting a lot of thank yous. Another person asking how long to take. All right. Maybe we're good. Maybe we're good on questions.
There's a question, Trent, on dementia. Like I said, my mother-in-law was suffering with early signs of Alzheimer's dementia a couple years ago. And we had to repeat things every 15 minutes. And after being on this protocol, a reverse insulin resistant, getting off all her medications, she's back. She can remember things. We can have normal conversations now. So dementia, Alzheimer's is type 3 diabetes. So if we reverse insulin resistance and reverse type 2 diabetes, there is point of no return, right? If you let it go for too long, yes, we cannot bring things back from the dead, but while you're showing signs and symptoms, do something about it. We can prevent further damage.
I love it. Maybe here's a question for Dr. Tiffany. We have two other questions here. Dr. Tiffany, nursing, pregnant and nursing mothers, would you recommend that they're okay to take this protocol, or do you have any caution that you'd put out there?
Well, okay, so the caffeine would be the concern for the breastfeeding moms, but what's great, we have decaffeinated versions. Now, the other part of that is when you look at the boxes say pregnant women and children don't give, but that's because it's not tested on them. So it becomes a conversation. It becomes, we have pregnant moms, we have nursing moms that have been using these products. I have real conversations. Are you drinking Coke? Are you eating a whole bunch of chocolate? Are you doing all these other things with all this caffeine in it? What's the big whoop? So as long as they're comfortable and they understand what they're getting into, I'm okay with it.
Okay, great. Doctors, thank you so much. I'm going to let you guys go. We'll do a little sign off here. Thank you, Dr. Amanda. Thank you, Dr. Erica. Amazing. Thank you, Dr. Eric. And thank you, Dr. Tiffany. Just amazing. Thank you, Tim, for your great story. And let me just close with this. If somebody that you love is struggling with their metabolic health, invite them to one of these calls. They will thank you later. All right. And if you are not using this protocol, What are you waiting for? Reach out to whoever invited you and just say, send me the link. They will send you the link where you can get started with the protocol. You can use it for 90 days. There's a great app that will help coach you through the whole thing. We also have the Feel Great Family Facebook group with a huge community of people that are living this protocol that is an awesome support community. You'll have support, you'll have instructions, you'll have guidance, and you'll have something that could potentially be the thing that solves your problems once and for all. So if you're on the fence, get off the fence, say, send me the link, and get ready to feel great. So thanks so much for this call. This was awesome. Thank you, Tim, and all the doctors. We love you all, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a great night.